Hello friends, my name is Callie and I'm a healer for Method in the race World First. This video is an updated Preservation Evoker guide for the latest patch 10.0.5 and let's get into it. To begin, I'd love to talk about the changes that Preservation recently saw. So in patch 10.0.5, Preservation Evoker got quite a decent rework to Temporal Anomaly, which I'd consider to be one of your core abilities since the beginning of the expansion. So previously, this ability had a 6-second cooldown, and with the Resonating Sphere talent, it applied 2 echoes every 2 seconds or so until it reached 6 players, and would also provide these players with a shield. Now however, with the new rework TA, this has a 15-second cooldown, and it applies shields to any target it hits, and with the Resonating Sphere talent, this will still only echo the first 6 players it hits. In general, it does feel a lot better to play, and in stacked fights, the ability to shield every single player is exceptionally strong. Other changes do include Time of Need's cooldown being reduced from 90 seconds to 60 seconds, a redesign of Nozdormu's teachings, and Emerald Communion did receive some quality of life changes. Let's talk about Mythic Plus talents and its rotation. So this build gives you a generic starting spot with various utility, and there are some flexible talents that you could consider changing depending on the dungeon and the affixes you're facing. This build provides you with a Mass Root with Landslide, an Interrupt with Quell, a Bleed Dispel through Cauterizing Flame, and an Impressing Roar, which increases the duration of crowd control on enemies. For example, taking Overroar will allow you to remove enrage effects, which can be helpful during raging weeks. Terror of the Skies can also be taken when you're running a group that lacks stuns. In the spec tree, Time of Need could be taken instead of Energy Loop if you don't really find yourself casting Disintegrate or you don't really have the time to. I do recommend trying to use Disintegrate though, as Energy Loop and Natural Convergence have pretty good synergy, as that allows you to DPS while also regenerating mana. This is obviously strong in M+, as it saves time between pools drinking, and it can also set you up for longer encounters in higher keys when it's quite mana intensive. Disintegrate does use essences however, so do keep that in mind when you're spending your essence and when you might need this for healing. This build does choose Leaping Flames, which is in the class tree, and it provides you with a little bit more damage and healing. You may use your Leaping Flames as you like, whether you need it in the moment to heal your allies or to damage your foes. It's also worth mentioning the Life Giver's Flame is a strong heal when you fully empower your Fire Breath. This works perfectly with Leaping Flames, which stacks depending on how many ranks you empower it. If you're struggling with healing, you can also sacrifice Damage Nose for Renewing Breath, which increases your Dream Breath healing by 15%. Golden Hour is a talent that's recommended in all content as it's incredibly strong and should be utilized whenever possible. Golden Hour is a passive that makes it so Reversion instantly heals the target for 15% of damage taken in the last 5 seconds. This also does work with reversions that you've applied through echoes, so obviously we can see why this would be such a strong talent for this build. Whether you are using this to help a tank when they're taking large amounts of damage, or as a group heal, it's always something to keep in mind. Stasis has been selected here as it's a very strong ability they can use in various situations. Stasis causes your next 3 helpful spells to be duplicated and stored, and therefore using Stasis before your strong healing abilities will store them, so you can reactivate and use these spells again in the next high damage event. Stasis can actually also store as spells, so pre-dispelling 3 allies in Stasis and then using Stasis can provide you with a group dispel for dangerous debuffs. A situation where this will be helpful is the Overgrown Ancient boss in Alcathar Academy. This can also be used to chain dispel dangerous tank bleeds and dispellable buffs with Cauterizing Flame. Now that you have the talents, let's talk about how you play this build. So this build focuses on 3 main components: Echo, Reversion, and Temporal Anomaly. In Mythic Plus, your main goal is to apply as many reversions as possible to your party, and in most cases, you'll be using TA to do this as it's extremely GCD efficient. It is important to consider that you can have 2 reversions at once on allies, and the reversions that are being applied through TA will be weaker than echoes applied manually. This is because Resonating Sphere echoes have a 45% effectiveness compared to the single casted echoes which have 105% effectiveness when the Time Lord talent is taken. For these reasons, you'll want to be casting Echo frequently to apply stronger reversions. Using an Echo on your tank before reversion is beneficial as it applies 2 decent hots to them, and it also increases your healing done to them with grace period. Outside of reversions, your Echoes can be consumed with Verdant Embrace for burst healing, and the more reversions you have out, the more 4-piece procs you get, which lead to more overall damage. Dream Breath and Spirit Bloom are your best ways to deal with large party-wide damage, and you'll want to be rotating between these 2 as well as your cooldowns to handle difficult situations. It's also very important to always remember to use Verdant Embrace before Dream Breath, as Call of Ysera increases the healing of your next Dream Breath by 40%. One of the common issues I see with players trying to pick up Evoker is that they struggle to heal burst damage. Many classes have very easy to understand buttons that you can spam to deal with this burst damage. However, outside of Living Flame, Evoker doesn't really have a spammable button, which makes it important to understand how to burst heal effectively. Storing abilities into your stasis, like Verdant Embrace, into Dream Breath and then Spirit Bloom, will be helpful to you, as reactivating your stasis will top your party members very quickly. Tip the Scales should also be used to allow you to cast an empowered ability instantly and at its max rank, giving you a strong burst heal, and usually I use this on Dream Breath or Spirit Bloom. Another way to deal with burst damage, or even just high amounts of damage intake, is using TA to buff echoes on your party and then using Verdant Embrace. Not only does this give a party-wide instant heal, it also applies Lifebind. Once your team has Lifebind, use Emerald Communion for a very strong channeled heal. Also, don't forget to make use of your Time Dilation, Zephyr, and Rewind. Time Dilation is a 1-minute cooldown, so you can constantly use this on your tank or another ally. Let's move on to the Mythic Plus DPS rotation for Preservation. So the key to dealing damage with Evoker and Keys is pressing Fire Breath on cooldown. The rank that you cast it at doesn't matter as it does the same damage, but with Leaving Flames talented, you'll gain more damage casting it at a max rank. On bosses, however, I will find myself casting it at rank 1, as I don't need to make much use of my Leaping Flames. However, on trash packs, I'll usually cast Fire Breath at its max rank to get as many Leaping Flames as possible. Outside of Fire Breath, you'll want to rotate through Living Flame and Disintegrate. Living Flames will deal more damage when buffed with 4-piece and Scarlet Adaptation, but extra essence can be spent on Disintegrates. Of course, we can't forget about Deep Breath, which can be doing a lot of damage on big pulls, and it's another spell you want to be using as much as possible over the course of a keystone. Next up, I'm going to be discussing the raiding talents, rotation, and just generally how to play this build. So although there are multiple raid builds available, the Reversion Spread build is considered to be the strongest, and that's what we'll be focusing on in this guide. This build is similar to the Mythic Plus build we mentioned previously, where you're constantly spreading your reversions, and your TA and Dream Breath are contributing to a lot of your healing. It is suggested to change talents depending on the boss that you're facing to be best suited to deal with any mechanics that might arise. Taking Quell for example when you're assigned an interrupt, or perhaps even taking Twin Guardian if you're consistently using Rescue on an ally. If you're struggling to survive, you may also consider Fire Within. You can substitute Exuberance, Time Spiral, and multiple other nodes for these changes depending on what you might need. As mentioned previously, Golden Hour is a talent to keep in mind as it's incredibly strong for raiding, as you'll constantly be applying reversions to raid members. Using Reversion right after damage will proc this passive for extra healing. Spiritual Clarity is also selected here as it will allow you to have a higher uptime on Time Bender. Renewing Breath is taken as Dream Breath is a high amount of your healing, and this also allows us to take Dreamflight, which is a good raid cooldown. Stasis is another capstone which is taken as it's considered as one of your main cooldowns. So how do you play this build in raid? So your reversion build focuses on getting as many reversions as possible on your raid members, and this is through casting Echo and Temporal Anomaly as much as possible. When your reversion critically heals, its duration is extended. This means that the build utilizes the 2-piece set bonus that increases your reversion's critical strike chance by 25% whenever you press an empowered ability. This then causes us to have a very high uptime on your reversions. One of the important rotational elements comes through Dream Breath. You'll want to be using this ability on cooldown and mainly at rank 1 to maximize its effectiveness. The lower the rank of the empowerment, the higher the hot of Dream Breath. When you cast Dream Breath at its full empowerment, it means the healing is a lot more front-loaded. So you also want to be making sure that you're always casting Verdant Embrace before each Dream Breath in order to proc your Call of Ysera, which gives you an extra 40% healing on your Dream Breath. Outside of Dream Breath, your priority is to spread reversions through TA and Echo. After this, you'll be amplifying them with Time Bender, which is from casting your empowered abilities including Spirit Bloom, Fire Breath, and Dream Breath. This procs your 2-stat, giving you 25% increased critical strike on your reversions for 6 seconds. Another great healing cooldown to utilize is your Emerald Communion. So this can be used as a major burst heal, which is really useful in raiding. To do this, use TA and Echo to apply Echo to as many allies as possible, and you can even store TA into your stasis to help you. When the damage is coming, you'll want to Verdant Embrace to buff Lifeline on the raid, and then use Emerald Communion, which will allow you to channel raid-wide healing. One of Evoker's most useful benefits come in the form of utility. They have some of the best in the game, even providing a Bloodlust and a raid buff. They have the ability to rescue allies, which will help immobile classes and even save lives. Evoker does also have the option to provide an interrupt for their group or the raid team, and they also have a very unique Oppressing Roar ability that allows you to CC enemies for a longer duration. This can even be upgraded if you take the extra talent to remove enrages. Don't forget as well about their racials, which are displacement abilities that come in handy in all forms of content. Obsidian Scales is one of the best defenses in the game. This gives you a 30% damage reduction for 12 seconds and it's also on a short 1.5 minute cooldown. Not only this, but the Obsidian Bullock talent provides you with an additional charge. Renewing Blaze as well is also very nice in providing a little bit of extra survivability, and we can't forget about Zephyr. Zephyr can be used to help your party lift difficult AoE damage as it reduces the damage you and your closest 4 allies take. Preservation Evoker has been given time dilation, which I think is quite a unique external in the fact that it spreads out the damage it takes over 10 seconds, and this is a lot different to just reducing the damage that's taken. This can help large hitting mechanics and packs feel a lot more manageable when you use it on a tank or even an ally that's in danger. Pros and cons of Preservation Evoker. Evoker is one of the strongest healers in the game in every form of content. Whether it's raiding, Mythic Plus, or PvP, Evoker is extremely strong and considered a meta spec, so you have no trouble getting into groups or even finding players to group with. The spec is also extremely unique with a healing profile that really isn't very similar to any other classes, and can feel very rewarding for these reasons once you truly begin to master the class. It's a very fun and a mobile kit with lots of competitive talent choices that will impact how you play, and it has many different utility options as well as playstyles that you can talent into. While Evoker can feel very rewarding and it does have a unique healing profile, this can also make it quite difficult to play, especially in a Mythic Plus setting. It does lack strong recovery and emergency buttons, and you really need to have a good understanding of all your abilities and how to best use them in every situation. It can also feel a little bit clunky at times, especially when you're channeling extremely long empowerment casts. However, thankfully you don't always have to do that, which does make it feel a little bit better. Despite the challenging nature of Evoker, it is an incredibly fun spec to play that everyone should definitely give it a try. It is a very strong spec at the moment, and this doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. And unlike other healers, it starts off at level 58, which means that anyone can make one with the purchase of Dragonflight and give it a try. I would definitely recommend anyone who's on the fence to at least make one and give it a try in a couple dungeons and raids, and it doesn't really require as much time investment to level to really give a shot like other classes. Thank you so much to everyone who watched this video. Once again, my name is Callie. I also go by Callian, and you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and all the in-between. So make sure you subscribe to the Method channel, turn on your notifications, and to like the video if you enjoyed. Have a great day.